Tonight, state and local leaders are in Washington pushing to unlock recovery money tied to Helene.
Asheville Mayor Esther Manheimer and Governor Stein spent the day face-to-face with members of Congress, FEMA, and HUD, pressing for more funding. They're also asking why the approved funds still have not reached Western North Carolina.
We have team coverage of Helene funding, starting with News 13's Elijah Skipper. Elijah, you heard from the mayor. What was her message?
Manheimer says that while the message publicly has been that Asheville is open for business, behind the scenes, the reality is that recovery is still very much uneven. She says that people and local governments are still waiting on assistance, and that's been her message to federal leaders, not just to understand the scope of the damage, but to move along money that's already been approved.
Obviously, we're in a very political forum here, and it's a matter of trying to get everybody on the same page.
That's how Asheville Mayor Esther Manheimer summed up a full day of meetings in Washington, where city and state leaders met with members of Congress and federal agencies to push for disaster recovery funding tied to Helene.
They seem to understand that very clearly. We bring them a lot of data, a lot of information, so they can see exactly where the needs are, whether it's individuals who need assistance with housing, whether it's infrastructure needs, whether it's economic recovery and business recovery needs. They understand the need.
Manheimer says the challenge now is translating that understanding into action that communities can see on the ground. With total storm damage estimated at around $60 billion, leaders say the focus now is closing the gap between need and funding.
Our delegation that represents North Carolina have been incredible partners in this process. Where we are seeing a slowdown is on the administrative side, specifically in Homeland Security and FEMA. We are experiencing a bottleneck, seeing funds approved that the Congress has already allocated so that those monies can move into the state.
That bottleneck comes as the Department of Homeland Security announced more than $116 million in new federal funding for North Carolina's recovery on Wednesday. Manheimer says that funding helps, but does not fully address the long-term recovery needs still facing Western North Carolina.
We have a strong community. We've come together to recover from this storm. We're going to continue to do that, and they're going to be able to count on their governor, their congressional delegation, their mayors to be up here and fight for them as much as we need to.
Manheimer says this will not be her last trip to Washington as she and other leaders continue to push for federal support for a full recovery here in Western North Carolina. In Asheville, Elijah Skipper, News 13.
The Helene Funds announcement also includes millions for a home buyout program.
News 13's Kimberly King has investigated the program for months that has yet to have a single buyout.
Kim, the funding announcement is a small step forward.
By no means is the money here in Buncombe County or North Carolina for that matter. It's not. And the fact is homeowners could wait months, potentially years before they get even a buyout offer from the program. Over $133,000. That's the approximate mortgage amount still owed for Amanda Williams and her husband on their rental home Helene destroyed in Swannanoa. They're paying even now to avoid destroying their credit if the bank foreclosed. Today's announcement of $14.2 million in federal funds for Buncombe County applicants means it's possible some money could go to the buyout of Williams's property. This is how Amanda felt last September about the importance of program transparency.
Letting the people, the victims of Helene and any other natural disaster, know what's going on.
Kevin Madsen, Buncombe's Helene Recovery Director, today said federal officials haven't provided specifics.
We don't have timelines, though, as far as what those next steps are.
Henderson County is approved for $9.2 million. Steve and Carrie Hayo lost their retirement home there, destroyed by a Helene slide. They don't know if any of that grant will mean they'll get a buyout this year or ever. A different federal program has other people also waiting for help.
January now, so at least a year.
Frustrating, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Daniel Wood and Ashley Metcalf live in Weaverville.
They sent a crew out a year ago.
But Daniel said a never-ending runaround after Helene with FEMA has left him with this large tree uprooted leaning towards his neighbor's house.
We've been following up for at least a year or more.
Daniel showed us communications he keeps having with the subcontracted company that tells him there's new federal requirements keeping his tree job from getting done.
Hey Matt, it's Daniel Wood. How are you today?
He keeps calling, hoping the sub has news.
Can you explain to me a little bit further what you said about, it being in FEMA's hands?
Daniel, along with other Helene victims waiting for programs they say they were assured would happen, but have yet to come through. A spokesman for the state's Emergency Management Division says they're encouraged to see movement with the announcement of these funds being made available for the buyout program, but he also reiterates what we heard in Buncombe County, which is there are no specifics on where this money will go, whether it will be for Group 1 in Henderson as well as Group 1 in Buncombe County. Reporting from downtown Asheville, Kimberly King, News 13.